Transform your product idea into a business reality. My name is Callie Keen, and this is End Hype. Create impactful innovation to change your life and change the world. That sounds so crazy and so over the top, but it's happening. It's happening right now, and it's happening for entrepreneurs that are just starting. And I want to share with you an opportunity that it's among a lot of other opportunities that we're seeing, but one that we're putting out there right now. It's the Solar Prize Challenge. It's round 4 of this challenge, and I'll walk through kind of our past experience working with applicants and coaching through the winners of the past rounds, because the opportunity is so massive. And if you have been watching the YouTube channel, or you follow me on Instagram or on LinkedIn, you know that we've been at this for about 2 years now, gone through a couple rounds of this and other innovation challenges. And I'm really excited to connect Department of Energy and NREL on what they're doing through their innovation challenges on the American Made kind of challenge network that you see on HeroX, and connecting it with small businesses, entrepreneurs, and potential entrepreneurs, because, like I said, the opportunity is massive. And when I think of the people that I coach, I think of the clients that I talk to, or people that I talk to at events. Like if we have a pitch event, of course I haven't had one this year, but we have pitch events, after the pitches, people walk up and they say, like, how do I get started? I'm sitting there, I'm at my desk, I'm an engineer, and I have all these amazing ideas, but how do I get funding? How do I get the ball rolling? Like, how do I find customers? Where do I find resources to get something tested or manufactured? Or how do I find engineers? They have all these pieces that are kind of question marks. And one of the reasons we're putting out End Hype is to just give you those answers, plug in those answers. And innovation challenges kind of short circuits these main problems that physical product entrepreneurs, people that want to create new innovative products, have, where it's like, hey, to get started, I need to have funding, but to get funding, I need to build a prototype, and I need to make sales, but I can't afford to design, develop, produce a prototype, not alone production, and create sales, because I don't have funding. So it's this chicken and egg, cart before the horse, kind of circular negative spiral that they encounter. And this is probably the largest problem that we go in, beyond maybe mindset, or really how to think about problems. Crossing the chasm of funding is the biggest challenge. It's definitely the biggest concern that people have, right? It's the number one thing that people ask me for, but it's the biggest thing that we coach people through. Is how do you build revenue? How do you get investment? How do you get funding through different vehicles to build a prototype, to build a business, to get sales, and accelerate and grow? So one of those vehicles that we've encountered, and I've just seen this rise in popularity over the past 2 or 3 years, more and more and more, I've seen a little less venture capital focus and more kind of direct partnership focus from big corporations or government end users, saying, we want this problem solved. We want this technology to exist, and we want it $1 million worth, right? We'll give somebody $1 million for no equity, just for this solution to exist, just to get ideas. And this is the closest thing to our entrepreneur fantasy of getting paid to be an idea person, getting paid for ideas, that I've ever seen exist. So if you're unfamiliar with innovation challenges, they're essentially pitch events, right? So a non-government organization, a big corporation, or maybe even like a government agency, in the case of the Solar Prize Challenge is a good example of that. They put out these problem statements, these challenge statements, and say, we want something that protects fish in our waterways. We want something that improves geothermal manufacturing. We want something that improves the manufacturing or proliferation of solar energy. And they put a lot of money behind it, and they put a lot of resources behind it. And so if you can come up with a solution, you can pitch them with little more than a PowerPoint presentation, a pitch deck, right? And maybe a video. So very low barrier to apply and win the funding. The reason that I get super excited about these opportunities is that so few people actually apply. I think a lot of opportunities in life are kind of like this: is that you see something unbelievable, you see an unbelievable opportunity, you think, well, that's for somebody else, or that's not for me. That's for some demigod, or that's for some fancy person, or some genius. And the thing is like, it's not. Like, all of those people that you fantasize are so much better than you, they got started by just getting started. They did something, and this is that initial thing that you could do. But I look at these and I see so few people actually applying, so few people actually paying attention, that I feel like maybe in a couple years this will change, and this is going to be a major funding model for startups and entrepreneurs. And maybe at that point you'll be competing against thousands, tens of thousands, or hundreds of thousands of people. But for right now, I'm looking at the Solar Prize, American Made Challenges Solar Prize, and we'll put the link in the description down below. So please click, and you can read the guidelines and the timeline. We have more than a month to apply, so this podcast is probably coming out next week, but the submission deadline is October 8th. Right, so plenty of time to apply. Read all the rules, but they're giving away $3 million in cash prizes. Okay, so that's $1 million each stage, and the final stage, 2 people win $500,000. It's pretty impressive. But this is the 4th round of the Solar Prize Challenge, and we've been helping people since round 2. And we've worked with 6 winners. It's phenomenal. And tomorrow, so by the time this posts, tomorrow we'll find out who is the winner of the final stage in round 2. And I'm pretty excited because I've got a disproportional amount of horses in that race. So I love everyone equally but differently, but our chances are pretty good that somebody from Red Blue Collective is going to win that $500,000. So I'm really excited about that. But that being said, not that many people applied, right? Not that many people applied. We saw really cool ideas. Round 1, round 2, round 3, but it's an amazing opportunity, because if you apply for a grant program, you're competing against thousands and thousands of people. Like, I really love the NSF Seed Fund. They're putting out a lot of money into the market, but you're competing against 10,000 people every single time. This, you're competing against 100 people, less than 100 people for 20 slots. It's pretty good. So in general, if you go to HeroX.com, there's quite a few of these. Red Blue Collective is a connector organization with Department of Energy and NREL for American-made challenges, and we can look right on here. The groundbreaking hydro prize just came out. There's a geothermal prize. It's Department of Energy, guys. So I think everything has to do with energy. Okay, if that's not your cup of tea, there's lots of other innovation challenges out there in the market. Everything from crypto to the current current cold status. Right, there's anything that you can think of. There's things about food security, about going to Mars. There's anything that's in that innovation space or as a general human need, there is an innovation challenge for. If you think of any large corporation, especially in the defense space, they're probably promoting an innovation challenge. I mean, I'll tell you how outlandish this is. It's like, Marriott. That's a local company here in Northern Virginia. They've had innovation challenges in the past. So like, you'd be really surprised. I've yet to find a really innovative market where the leaders in that market, the thought leaders of that industry, haven't started to use this as a model of bringing in an influx of ideas into their business. But right now, we're hyper focused on these American-made challenges, and it's been phenomenal what we've been able to achieve with a few of the past participants. Hopefully, in the next couple weeks, we'll have some of the people on. Hopefully, talk to Adam. He's been on a couple of the live streams. Talk to Fred, of course. He's been on our live streams. And if you're wondering, I do webinars at least once a month, and we do on a variety of topics. So if you go to Facebook and you look at Red Blue Collective, you can register when those pop up, and I live stream that on Facebook or on YouTube. So anyways, we usually have a guest and we talk about a specific challenge that they're having or that our community has asked for. But we're just really focused on this right now. I want to talk to some of those past winners, because the only pushback that I've gotten from people is either they think they're not worthy or they think that I'm trying to scam you somehow. And I'm like, I wish I was so amazing at scamming that I could somehow trick Department of Energy into making a $3 million prize, let alone 20 different prize programs for me. But I'm not that guy. I just help people create a perfect pitch and win these things. I have no other association currently with these programs other than helping people win them. So, my skin in the game is I like working with entrepreneurs and, people that have cool ideas, and it's helpful to work with them if they have money. And this is a good way that people can get money. So then we can make something. It's pretty simple arithmetic there, but, definitely check it out. I think this is going to be massively disruptive in this market. It's going to change how people even approach ideating. Like if you go out there and you think is this idea good or is this idea bad? If you just go out and say is somebody willing to pay $1 million for this idea right from the get, then I know that's probably a pretty important problem, and I should put a little bit more thought into it. Even if I'm not applying for the innovation challenge, it's a pretty good indicator that somebody cares, right? But I just wanted to run through really quickly what we do to help people win these challenges, because opposed to a grant program where you have to write a large academic paper and people do this as their job. They just help entrepreneurs or scientists write grants because it's that complicated. Opposed to grants or other means, these are pretty straightforward. For the innovation challenge, you just need, for the solar prize challenge, you just need a video. And that could be, talking just like I'm talking right now. And you need a pitch deck. And so what we do right from the beginning, and if you're interested in this, I'll put a link below to a little guide that I made for the previous rounds. Just it also shows where a lot of these innovation challenges kind of live. They're constantly changing, so if you have an area that you're working in that's not represented there, just DM me. And people send me these all the time, where these programs are cropping up. But it runs through what goes into a pitch deck and where these programs run. So we'll just give that PDF away. I'll link it down in the description. But the big piece is you can get a template from, say, SlideBeam. You can make a beautiful pitch. If you have a creative friend, they can help you make it look beautiful. But the problem lies in what goes into that pitch, what goes into the perfect pitch that's compelling, that's validated, that really, sells the idea, right? Because you can have the most innovative, amazing idea in the world, but if you can't communicate and convey that idea, it's just going to sit there dead on arrival, right? It's not going to go anywhere because people won't understand. They're not psychic, right? They don't have superpowers. They can't see inside your brain and visualize that amazing idea. They need it to be explained, right? And if you look at those templates, you'll see there's a lot of variance in what slides go in, and it becomes muddled and it becomes confusing. But you can get a template and you can just plug in information. But what makes a perfect pitch is having the right information put in there, is learning how to develop that information and place it in. So when, the judges ask you questions, you can say, let me just back that up. Let me explain to you how I arrived at this, or let me explain to you the information and the work and the effort and the team and all these pieces that goes into what we're trying to sell you right now. So what I do is I run people through 9 steps. And this really goes for people. I look at it as you have focus, you want to start something, you have some ideas, you have some direction, but you want to get to that place where you have funding. You have an absolutely clear business plan. You have a go-to-market strategy. You have the funding to do it. You have the resources. How do you get it all lined up? And it seems like a lot, but when you break down the structure of a simple pitch deck, you realize that it's almost like a roadmap to go from that desire to that actual outcome. It's kind of neat. So what I run people through is 3 stages. And the first stage really is just to set goals and focus. And we go through these 3 little mini steps here. So the first step is goals. And I talk with every entrepreneur or business that we work with about this, because even if you're an established business and you're looking to grow, it's all about the goals, figuring out, what obstacles are holding you back, what you actually want to do, and then creating a plan that's in alignment with what you want. So I think just posted something about this. This is one of my favorite strategies, is you create a business and a product that's in alignment with what your goals, with what you actually want to achieve. A lot of people create businesses just to create a business. And they'll say money will come out of it, but they don't intentionally plan for the money or the freedom or the the time or whatever their actual goals are. So they end up just, hating hating their business. So the first thing that we do is we look at goals and we try to find some kind of purpose and meaning in what we're trying to do. And then secondly, we identify a specific customer. I know it's very tempting to say that like everyone will want this, but in general, the best businesses, especially the ones that are starting and that have high growth, they identify a very specific customer and they understand that customer better than anyone. And it becomes one of their competitive advantages is to understand that customer very well. And then we go out and we find the problem. So inside of that, let's say that solar prize challenge, inside of that sphere of solar, there's so many little problems that go into it. So people have one based on just finding that installation is very difficult and ways of speeding up or reducing costs in the installation of solar panels. And we'll talk to Adam, and this is one of my favorites, is like the problem that he uncovered is that solar panels are ugly. People just don't buy solar panels because they're ugly, or they can't install as many as they'd like because they're ugly. So if you made solar panels beautiful, you increase the different locations that they can be installed. So he's created beautiful architectural solar panels, and that's the problem that he's solving. He's solving a problem of novelty and aesthetics inside of a technical field. He's a designer, and it's awesome, but that aligns with who he is, the type of person that he wants to serve, and so he can naturally talk to them, and he can naturally solve that problem, and he's uniquely qualified to do it. It's really cool. Perfect example of that. But goals, customer, problem, really easy. We go on to the product stage, and this is where most people think that innovation starts. It really starts with those goals. But when we go to that product stage, we talk about the solution. We look at the competitors. We start getting customer feedback. We start trying to get traction. And traction can look like a lot of different things. But currently, most people that get funding through venture capital, they have some type of traction. They have revenue. They have built relationships. They have something. Now, for the Solar Prize Challenge, one of the ways that people have won the second stage, so the 100K stage, is that they've gotten letters of intent. So we built up the solution to the point where it could be presented to associations, to manufacturing partners, to corporations, and they say, yes, if this existed, I would love to be involved in this. And that's like the bottom tiny little piece of traction, but it's something to show that other people are validating what you're trying to do. And then one of my favorites is, and this closes out product, is unfair advantage, and building the team, protecting and generating intellectual property, developing relationships, presenting in that slide of unfair advantage why we're the best, why our team is the best to solve this problem in the world, like why we're uniquely qualified and we're more qualified than people that have ever existed before us. And you can see that work kind of building and your confidence building, right, in the business building. And then we move on to the third stage and we start talking about giving different types of business roadmaps. So when we do pitch, it's crystal clear, like, if you give me money, this is what you're going to get. If we get funding, this is what we're going to do. We're going to make you look good. We're going to give you a return on investment. Ugh. So in those business in that business stage, the first step, we build roadmaps. We build the product roadmap. We build the demand roadmap. We build a traction roadmap. It shows the project growth based on certain milestones, certain funding goals. We move on to step 8. We show the business model. So this is really common in startups, and even with these innovation challenges, people, they don't want to see a 20 or 30 page business plan. Nobody's got time for that. We don't want to read all that. It's just filled with nonsense anyways. So what we want to see is we want to see a 1-page business plan. There's a lot of versions of this. We use Lean Canvas. It's a style of business model canvas because it pulls in all the same elements that we're going to see in the pitch. And we're creating alignment through the Red Blue Collective Innovate framework into the business model canvas, into the pitch deck. So all the information is the same, but it's presented in the format and at the level, which is important to who you're showing it to. But we go over developing that canvas. We get some practice pitching, usually with local pitch events, some mentorship programs. So we learn how to, we get that feedback and learn how to handle objections, answer common questions, that kind of thing. And then, finally, we pitch. And, I used to really get frustrated with startups pitching because they would chase around pitch events all over the place. And they'd be like, yeah, I won this $200 pitch event here. I won this $500 pitch event here. And I get really frustrated because they spent all their time pitching instead of developing their idea and their business. I still kind of feel that way. But now I acknowledge that pitching builds that communication. It builds that ability to speak on your feet, talk about your idea, really crystallizes it in your own mind when you can communicate it with others. It's kind of like me making this podcast, right? Like all these ideas rattle off in my head, and when we're on a coaching call or I'm in a presentation, it just flows, but it's a whole lot different of a thing to like speak in a camera, right? It's a different level, it's a different skill set. So I'm doing this in part because it builds my ability to communicate, be a better communicator. And pitching does the same thing for you. So you have an idea and it seems crystal clear in your head, but trust me, it is completely amorphous and makes zero sense, because as soon as you start trying to write it down on a business model canvas, as soon as you try to map it out, road map it out, you start trying to fill out our checklists, you can't. And you got to go do the work and you fill it out. And that's why that pitch deck seems so daunting right now, because you're like, hey, I'm looking at these 6 slides or these 13 slides, whatever template. And I'm like, oh, what's my customer acquisition cost? What's my this? How do I get this information? What do they mean by this? And it seems you don't have the answers for it because that crystal clear idea that's in your head is actually, like I said, amorphous. You have to communicate it. You have to get the feedback. You have to do the work. And it all kind of comes together, and we can start applying for these opportunities like the Solar Prize Challenge, like the other innovation challenges on HeroX.com. And we can get a crazy amount of funding, but we can also have access to like national labs. Like we can have access to testing partners and maker spaces and engineers and manufacturers. And I think that's really cool. I want you to take advantage of these innovation challenges. And I know that people are stuck at home or they're stressed out. This is just something to work on. It's something to kind of break that, break that pattern. It's a pattern interrupt. So like you're just set in this, maybe you're going to work and you're just doing that same routine, the monotonous thing, or, a couple years have slipped by and you thought like, I thought I'd be doing something really cool by right now. I thought, I have this idea and I'm waiting for the time to be able to see it through. And this is like, I hear this story over and over and over again. I'm like, guys, innovation challenges are kind of it's the pattern interrupt from that monotonous day-to-day, I feel unfulfilled thing. Like jump in. There's literally no downside to applying to these. They don't cost anything. They don't cost any money to apply. The worst thing that you're going to get is feedback that maybe you're going to have to spend a little bit of time developing your idea and, chasing your dream, which is something you should be doing anyways. There's really nothing stopping you from doing it. I know it seems daunting, and if you need a little bit more advice, if I can be of any help to you, message me. We'll hop on a Zoom call, or I'll invite you to our next webinar when we're talking about tackling these things like more in depth and applying. So we're going pretty deep on specifically these American-made challenges and connecting more people with each of these challenges to get the applications. So take a look at it. If you have questions, message me, email me, and I don't know, we'll win. We have hilariously disproportionate outcomes that Red Blue Collective has achieved for the people that have applied. It's not like everybody that has applied that we've coached has won, but it is a ridiculous quantity of people have had success with these different challenges in the past year and a half, and I'm super excited about it. So anyways, my name is Callie Keene. This has been End Hype, and I'm out.